Hi, and welcome to this on-site edition of Todd Talks. I'm North Perth Mayor Todd Kasenberg. I'm joined today by Rebecca Dechert-Sage, who is the CEO of the North Perth Public Library. We've come together today because we have some concerns about the condition of the Listowel Library. We want to foster an understanding in our community about the need for solutions to a growing set of problems. Both the Municipal Council and the Library Board are stewards of our library system, and we want to ensure that there is excellent library service for years to come. Let me set the stage. The Carnegie Building at the Listowel Library site has more than a century of history, and an addition was constructed about 20 years ago. What you may not have noticed is the physical state of the library site is deteriorating. And times, they are changing. The modern library is so diverse and innovative that it could not even have been imagined 15 years ago. So this Todd Talks episode is dedicated to exploring the concerns we have now. And I'll tell you up front that no matter what choice or choices we make, tax dollars are going to need to be spent. So Rebecca, tell us a little bit about the history of this library and the impacts that it's had on our community.
The portion that we're sitting in now is the Carnegie portion. It was built in 1907 with a $10,000 grant from Andrew Carnegie. The addition was put on this facility around the year 2000. We offer 52 hours per week of service from this location here in Listowel. It also functions as the headquarters of the North Perth Public Library, which is a 3-branch system. So that also means that at this location we incorporate in our technical services, our digital services, the administrative staff, as well as the actual physical things that we need to offer a 3-branch system. So our program supplies, the Lego, the seasonal books such as the Christmas and Halloween books, all of that has to stay here to cycle out to the branches when it's needed. This location so far in 2019 has had over 57,000 visits in person, and our computers have been used over 10,000 times this year. So when you multiply that out by the century that this facility and this site has been in service, that adds up to a massive impact on the community of North Perth.
So what are the main facility-related concerns that need to be addressed at this location?
So the main ones that need to be addressed at this location are water in all various ways and forms, accessibility, sound and sightlines, energy efficiency, and just overall efficiency of the space.
So Rebecca, you've mentioned water. Can you tell us a bit more about the water concern?
Well, we actually put a considerable amount of effort and budget into dealing with the impact that water has on our facility. The addition that was built in 2000 had some finishes and materials that just didn't take into account water and snow and ice on the facility. So the window system in the main portion of the library actually leaks and requires either a considerable overhaul or a complete replacement. There's significant damage to the exterior of the facility due to the amount of water that comes down on it every year. And we work away at it every year. We add portions of it to our budget every year, but it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole with a caulking gun. Every time we find an area that needs fixed, we fix it up, the water comes in a different place. So we're working away at it continually over time. So we use this window as an example of taking on water because this is actually where we have had a water issue in recent weeks. When we had a driving rain coming towards the side of the building, we took on water at the top of this window and it was kind of raining down on the customer who was using the study carols. You can see the evidence of the water leak up there. But we also take in water just through the window itself, and at the base of the window you're able to see evidence of that. There's no flashing between the blockwork and the window system to protect it from absorbing water through the blockwork. And you can see the drywall requires some repairs and that we've taken on water in a couple spots here in this window bay. So this portion of the window system is in the Great Hall section of the library. And this is an example of sort of what we caught when we put the roof on and sealed up leaks in one regard, but we're still receiving some water coming in different areas just depending on which way the wind blows. So you can see along here, you'll either see on the corners sort of the calcification from the water coming in, or you can see the tracks from when the water was running down the window system at times. We had leaks out onto the floor in this area for sure. So this has been an area that we've spent a lot of time working on trying to seal up. So this portion of the building is an example of the concerns that we're having with the blockwork. The flashing only comes out partially to the edge of the blockwork. It doesn't extend past and carry the water down. So when water runs down the siding, it hits the blockwork and then sort of is absorbed into the blockwork itself. We have failure of the mortar, but we also have that the ties are all corroded in behind and are shifting or have let go. So we don't have anything that's holding the blockwork in place, and we have significant movement. So you can see that the entire structure of the wall is in motion. So you can see again on this corner of the building, this is a different side of the building, you can see the water staining from the water coming down and hitting the block. You can see that the mortar's all failed, and you can see how loose these blocks actually are. So from this angle, you can see that maybe the top 5 or 6 courses of blockwork here on the gable of the Carnegie portion are disintegrating and need to be replaced. Because this is a heritage building, that's a significant amount of work to do to repair that. They'll have to be custom cast and then colored to match the facility. So the pergola and Rotary Park here is another area of the library that is listed to be repaired. There was a wood structure above here. It was an untreated wood structure, and after 20 years we needed to take it down. It was disintegrating from water damage. And then when we did that with the intentions of putting it right back on with new material, we discovered that the blockwork of the piers of this pergola also need to be replaced. So the blockwork at these back piers is actually in 2 pieces. So you can see where the mortar in between has a little pocket, so the water sits in there, infiltrates, freezes, thaws, expands, and causes cracking of those caps. So all of the caps need to be replaced prior to putting the pergola back up. So this is an example again of water damage that's happening to the front entrance to the Listowel Library. Anywhere that there's white staining here is indicative of water seeping out from the inside. So there's water somehow getting back in here and then pushing through from behind, popping the tiles forward. This has already been repaired once in my time here as CEO, and this is evidence that we're probably going to have to be addressing it again soon. So this is the lift that takes us between levels of the Listowel Library. If we need to transport any materials up and down to different staff offices, or if customers need to be transported up and down. It's key operated. You have to be able to turn the key and push the button at the same time. When the lift was installed 20 years ago, it was considered accessible. It's not so much now. It's not dignified access to have to ask permission to go to a public area of a facility. It's not really a fair way to treat people who are living with a disability. You have to be able to turn the key and push the button at the same time. And also, as you can see, it's not a very big lift. So humans come in all shapes and sizes, and their devices come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes we can't fit the device and a helper in at the same time. So we have to put them in, hope that they trust us, leave them locked in that box, and get them out at the top, which is just not ideal. Additionally, we keep the maintenance up to date, but this is going to come to the end of its useful life in the next 5 to 10 years, and then we're going to have to replace it with a full service elevator.
Rebecca, are there energy concerns in this building?
Yes, energy efficiency is one of the concerns that we have with this building. I mean, among other things, we operate 4 furnaces out of 3 mechanical rooms in this building. Energy use has been rising in this facility over the years. Where water and drafts can come in, energy seeps out as well. So in some ways, repairing water concerns will go a long way towards improving our energy efficiency in this site.
So, Rebecca, do we have enough space in this library for a community our size?
That's a good question. Although the space appears quite large, it is actually undersized compared to industry standards for our population. And when you compound that by the fact that we don't use the Carnegie space for a lot of services, I mean, it's there for people to use if they can make their way up to it, that sort of compounds the problem even more. In 2015, the board commissioned a feasibility and justification study to address just that, to consider the spaces that we have and compare them to industry standards, which are based on population size, which is a convenient way to figure it all out. In order to serve the population at that time, they recommended that we do a renovation to harvest as much existing space as possible from the footprint without doing an expansion. In 2016, the board did commission a renovation design. They came up with a design that addressed accessibility, addressed as best it could sightlines, and added in an elevator, a full service elevator like we talked about earlier. But it came with a high price tag. It was estimated to be about $2 million to complete that renovation. So the alternate recommendation of the study, one that would take into account future growth, was to do the renovation and add a 4,000 square foot expansion to the facility. So with the growth that North Perth has been experiencing, the renovation or expansion of this facility is a conversation that will have to be had in the near future, I think.
So what about sightlines in this library?
Sightlines is something that is tricky for us in the facility, the way it's designed, and in combination with the fact that we try to only have as many staff on site as minimally necessary, right? So we're not overstaffed in this facility. So if we're servicing from this point, this desk that we're standing in, and even if in our future hopes we have a smaller desk rather than this behemoth that is a holdover from previous library years as well, supervising the library while you're assisting customers is tricky from this side of the building because we have this massive brick wall that bisects the facility through here. And we can't really supervise the Carnegie portion of the library from downstairs as well.
Rebecca, I mean, libraries are notorious for being places where people are hushed. Tell me about sound, about privacy issues in this library.
Well, our meeting rooms are certainly not designed with privacy and confidentiality in mind, and sound carries really far in this building for sure. Our space is used as a place where the community connects with neighbors, but also with social services. And as we know, living in Perth County, a lot of the social services are centralized to Stratford. It's not a criticism, it's just the reality. And so our facility is used by employment agencies, mental health agencies, social service agencies as a place to meet with their clients locally that doesn't require them to have transportation. On any given day, there's more than one agency in a pocket of this building or using these meeting rooms to meet with their clients. Their conversations are confidential, and we would love to be able to give them a space that has more privacy.
I hope you can see why there is cause for concern. I acknowledge that many in our community remember the grand opening of the addition like it was just yesterday, when in fact it was 20 years ago. Some of you probably contributed time and money to that construction project. The community continues to be well served by an excellent library system. Please, please accept our thanks for all of those efforts and the continuing efforts that you make towards our library. Our library, quite rightly, is a source of pride. But there are some significant issues here, and you deserve to see and know about them. Your council will have to address these issues in the near future. Our purpose today is to open all of us up to the possibilities of next steps. I know, working together, we can come up with a sensible approach that meets community needs and sensitivities, and that will continue to give us reasons to be North Perth proud. Thanks for tuning in.